So before I get into this video was taken from the module 11 of my Google Ads course. And if you're interested in getting the full course, it currently costs 15,000 naira. So you can click the link in the description to get in touch with me. With that being said, if you are also looking for someone to help you set up and manage your Google Ads account, you can also click the link in the description to get in touch with me. So let's get into it. All right, so welcome to the module 11 of the Google Ads Blueprint course. And in this module, I will be showing you step by step how to set up a Google Search Ads campaign from scratch. So we're going to be making use of a lot of the things that we covered in our previous modules. So yeah, let's just get into it. All right, so now that we're on our dashboard, before I get into the campaign creation, there are two settings that I want to briefly talk about. Right, so it's very important that you check these two settings before you start your campaign. So the first one is called the auto apply, and to access this, all you need to do is go to recommendations, and once you are under recommendations, click on auto apply settings. Right, so it has loaded. So once you're under these auto apply settings, make sure none of these are turned on. It's basically going to give Google more power over your ads, right? It's going to allow Google to handle a few things related to your ad, like removing redundant keyword, optimize ad rotations, some of these things that you don't actually want. So make sure you untick all of them, including the grow your business too. So make sure you untick all these auto apply settings. So this is the first one. Now the second one is called account level automated assets, and to access that, you head on over to assets. Now under assets, you click on these three options button, account level automated assets, and we're going to do that one more time, advanced settings. All right, so it's going to bring up a hidden setting, so make sure none of these are turned on. Again, it's going to give Google more power over your assets, which you don't really want. So dynamic site links, dynamic callouts, you don't really want most of these, so make sure you turn all of these off. So once you have done that, we can now start creating the campaign. So let me go back to this default page. So once we're on this page, we click on this button, new campaign. Now in your case, you're not going to see this because I've already had a few campaigns that I didn't finish, so that's why it's showing me this campaign draft. So click on the new campaign. All right, so what is our campaign objective? Now, because I'm going to be showing you how to set up a campaign for dentists in this course or in this tutorial, we're going to be working with leads, right? It makes sense. If you're an e-commerce business, you are going to be using sales. However, I prefer to create a campaign without Google guidance because this campaign objective doesn't really affect your campaign performance. It's just Google trying to hide some settings for you, right? So what I've found is that if you choose sales or leads, Google is not going to give you a lot of the settings that you may want, right? So I just prefer creating a campaign without guidance so I can get all the settings I need. To create a campaign without guidance, for campaign type, search, obviously. Now again, because I have created a previous campaign that I didn't save, it's showing me this. In your case, you won't see this, but I'm just going to create a campaign. Now make sure you give your campaign a descriptive name that you can remember. In this case, since it's just going to be a tutorial, I'm going to put search dentist tutorial. Right, just like this. For your conversion goals, I've shown you how to set up conversion tracking. So if you set it up properly, you should see it here. If you are seeing some conversions that you didn't create, maybe Google automatically created them for you, you can always click on this three option button and remove. Let me just do that. All right, so Once everything looks good, click on continue. Now I like to ignore this at least for now. You click on continue. All right, so it's going to take us to this page. Now on the left, you can see your progress and you can always come back if you missed anything. But in the middle, this is where we want to be focusing on. All right. So the first thing here is bidding. Now for bidding, you don't want to start with conversions. You want to start with clicks. Then after about 30 days of getting enough conversion data, you can always switch to conversions. And I'll be showing you how to do that in another module. But like I said, you want to start with clicks. Now, remember we calculated our maximum cost per click bid limits in the previous module. So make sure you include that as well. So for the maximum cost per click bid limits, so we calculated that and it got us to around 39 cents. I'm just going to put that here. You can leave this like this and click on next. Now, very important, make sure none of these are turned on. It's basically giving Google the power to show your ads on other platforms that are not Google search. So for search partners, your ads will probably appear on dormant or expired domains, while for Google Display Network, it's going to appear on websites or maybe YouTube, apps, and the rest, which you don't want when you're creating a search campaign. So for locations, very important, entering our location for this tutorial with me using Lagos. So I'm just going to put that Lagos. Very important. Make sure you click on these location options because it's going to show us a hidden setting, right? So you always want to set your location to presence, at least for 90% of you. Now, presence or interest, what this is basically Google is going to show your ads to people that are in your location and also interested in your location. So if someone isn't in your location and the person is interested in your location, Google is going to show your ads to that person. Now, it's not always useless. There are some times that you might need to use presence or interest, right? So if you're a hotel or if you're a travel agency, presence or interest will probably be your best option. So once that is selected, so for your language, make sure you select only one language, right? So for my case, it's English. It's already selected, so I'm going to leave that like that, right? So no, we're not running any political ads. For your audience segments, for search campaigns, we don't really use audiences, but you could also add a few audiences, maybe around 20 audiences, 10 to 20 audiences, right? And set it to observation. Now, the reason for this is that later on, once you've gathered enough data in your Google account or in your Google Ads account, you can actually come and perform bid adjustments on your audiences. I'm going to show you what bid adjustments are in another module, but I personally don't really like using audience segments, so I'm just going to leave it like that. Make sure you click on more settings for ad rotations to not optimize. Because what I found out is that if you allow Google to optimize for your best performing ads, it's going to pick a winner very, very fast. And a lot of the times, from my experience, the winner that Google picks isn't the actual winner. So I like to manually test it on my own by selecting do not optimize. To start and end dates, make sure you add your start and end dates, right? So make sure you add that. It's optional if you want to add an end date. I personally don't use an end date. For your ad schedule, if you are going to be available to maybe take calls or if you can run your ads all day, you can do that. This is up to you. If you can't, you can always select which day or which time that you are going to be running your ads. So you can leave the remaining like this and click on next. Very important, make sure your AI max is turned off. Make sure that it's turned off. It's turned off by default, but In the future, Google might try to turn this on by default. So very important, make sure it's turned off. So click on next. So we're going to skip this because we generated our keywords and our ad copies ourselves. So I'm going to skip this. All right. So remember we did keyword research. So just enter in those keywords here. So I'm just going to pause this and enter the keywords we got here. All right, so just paste this here. Now remember we don't want to make use of broad match keywords. So we're going to be using either phrase or exact match. So as you can see here, you can just take a moment to read this. All right, so for your final URL, make sure it's a specific landing page that you're sending your traffic to, right? So in my case, I'll just put my website here. So for the display parts, make sure you include something. I'll just put dentist. Yeah. Right? It doesn't have to be anything unique. Just make sure you include something there. For your messages, we're going to leave that because you either want to be creating your assets and extensions before or after your campaign. It's just best practice. All right, so for our headlines, remember we wrote some ad copy, so I'm just going to copy that and include it here. All right, so make sure you include at least 10. You can also include the 15 if you want. All right, same thing with description. I'm just going to copy that and paste it in here. All right. Again, for images, you want to have created your assets before creating your campaign or after creating your campaign. So I'm going to ignore that. Make sure you input your business name, your business logo, and yeah, once you have done filling out your ad copy, click on done and click on next. All right, now for budgets, make sure you select your custom budget. You want to ignore the recommendation that Google gave you. So from our calculations in the previous module, we found out that our minimum budget needed was $3.9. I'm just going to impute that. So it's going to take you to this page. So what you want to do here is you want to go through the campaign again, go through it thoroughly and make sure all the settings are what you want, right? Make sure everything is set up properly. Just go through it, and once everything looks good, you should see a button here that says publish campaign or something like that. The reason I'm not seeing it here is because I have missed a few settings, right? So in your case, everything should look good. You see a button here, and once you click on that, your campaign will be published. And if your campaign is set to start that day, it should be live after a few minutes of Google doing some checks on your campaign, right? All right. So now that you have created your campaign, there is one more important thing we need to do, and that is we need to add negative keywords, right? So this is very, very important. I covered it in a previous module, but I'm going to show you how to actually add in the negative keywords. So what you want to do is go to audience, keywords and content and click on keywords and make sure you select the campaign that you want to add the keyword in. So in this case, I'm just going to select this one, but you should see the campaign you just created here. All right, so once you're on this keywords page, you go to negative keywords. You want to add in some negative keywords. So in our case, these were the negative keywords that we found. Now, ideally, you want to have a lot of negative keywords. Right, so let me just use this as an example. We'll paste them here and click on save, and that's it. And that's how to add in negative keywords. Now, our campaign is set up properly, but there are a few more things we need to do. First thing we need to do is to create multiple ad groups. Now, once your campaign has been set up properly, you want to come and start creating more ad copies and ad groups if you have, right? So to do that, you come over to campaigns. Let me show you how to create ad groups. First, you click on ad groups and you click on this blue plus button. Right, for the ad group type, make sure it's set to standard and give your ad group a name. So for this ad group, let's say this is teeth whitening, and click on next. Now it's going to bring you to this page that we saw when we were creating our campaign. So make sure you fill in your keywords here and fill in your ad copy. So once you're done, you just click on save and continue, and you have created your second ad group. Right, so if you want to create more ad copies, which I recommend, we head on over to ads and you select the ad group that you want to create it in. So let's say I want to create more ad copies in this ad group. I'll just click on that, and again, to create more ad copies, click on this button, responsive search ad, and just scroll down to where you will be imputing your ad copy, and just clear everything and impute your other ad copy. And once you're done, you scroll to the bottom and click on save ad. Alright, so that's how you actually set up a search campaign from scratch. In the next module, I'm going to be showing you how to optimize the search campaign after it has already been live. So I'll see you in the next module.